And then moving from Sheppard Robson to Area, that must have been quite a transition.
It really was. I mean, the consultancy business, as funny enough, when you worked in it, it was never really called consultancy. It was only when I moved to D&B that's what they called, the type of companies like, Sheppard Robson. It's a very different way of working, definitely. I think you kind of find over the last few years, the dreaded C word, COVID, as I'm sure a lot of people have told you already, that has really changed people's perceptions on workspace, and where your workspace is, and what you need from a workspace.
What is the office for?
I think now, it always has been to a point, but the office, I think, is for coming together and collaborating. Is that word that everybody uses, collaborating? But it kind of is. Certainly in our industry, I think I certainly work a lot better if I'm in the room with the people that I'm working with and creating a design for.
Area, you're actually B Corp, aren't you?
We are. We just had our 1 year anniversary, like this week, I think. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, I think actually a lot of people don't know what that means. And the whole sort of triple profit and the sort of planet and the people and that.
Yeah.
I think it's actually people are B Corp and might not actually appreciate how deep that is and how holistic that is.
It is, yeah. It's not just about sustainability, but it's about the kind of social aspect as well. It's like being socially responsible as well as being sustainable.
I do think, though, some of those certifications to get are quite expensive, aren't they?
They are quite expensive.
Does that feel
some more
right?
than others.
To be sustainable.
To be sustainable, yeah.
You're almost being charged. No?
No, not necessarily.
Do you think that there is actually a place in the whole sustainability conversation just for more common sense and like vintage furniture, that type of thing, that was reused? It's not. There's nothing fancy. There's no eco labels. It's just like reusing what we have already and like being sensible.
Yeah, no, definitely that kind of reuse, repurpose.
Yeah, it's not so sexy, it's not so wild, but it's just kind of works. Is there a space for that, or do we need certification in today's world to kind of prove that we did the right thing?
And it was on the river, it had river views. And I think the other crazy thing was when you first arrived into the building, the reception was completely closed off. You couldn't see the river. You could have been anywhere, but in reality was as soon as you went into that meeting room, there was a meeting room that you could kind of see the river, but it had big blinds and heavy things. And you were like, right, we need to rethink, make the most of the space, really kind of celebrate the location of the building. People were clinging onto their big desks and clinging onto their offices, as you would expect if they've worked in that way. But then there were a lot, at the other end of the spectrum, you had senior management who were really keen to bring on this more modern way of working and create a more collaborative environment for people. So the job itself was great. I mean, the final project was fantastic. Really, really good example of that kind of client designer engagement to get them to a space that they really, really love.
Yeah, because the change management, that kind of blows my mind, like from
25
massive. Years.
Yeah.
The culture shift and the change management piece that you say 360 did.
Yeah.
That must have been so intense, and pre, during and post.
Anything, certainly in that reception space, it definitely has a wow, because rather than walking into what was like a little airlock vestibule thing to get through reception and then sit against a solid wall on a chair while you waited to be taken to the meeting room. Now you kind of come in, the reception desk is in front of you, it's kind of low, it's round, you can move around it, you can see straight out to the river. So I think that it's a visual connection to nature, but to the outside space